I wanted to start off by saying I did vote for Donald Trump. We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. So the reason that they're not able to hold up the contract is our EQIP program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding through the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward. I'm not the only one this is affecting. So there are other farmers in the comments saying that they're in the same boat that I'm in because they signed these contracts, and the contracts, even like, so whenever I looked into the contract, I made sure that that funding was set aside. It wasn't funding that, oh, we hope it's there whenever it's done. I made sure that that funding was set aside so that way before I made these business decisions, I knew that funding was there per contract. So they're backing out on the contract because they don't have the funding. They can't release the funds.
Are you serious right now, guys? Like, I can't really make this up at all. I truly cannot make this up. He voted for Trump, and now he lost his farm because he wasn't truly informed about the things that Trump was talking about doing. Or maybe Trump never talked about doing that, and he still got the vote. This is happening to so many farmers out here, guys, and they're out here voting informed, and they're getting affected in today's economy, guys. This is why I always say you have to truly sit down and educate yourself about the plans of the person you're choosing to vote for. Do not vote against your own interests. That is so crazy to me. It blows my mind. But hey, at the end of the day, this is where you're at. All right, if you enjoy good content like this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to blow your mind with all the videos in here.
Well, it's all fucking over. I am officially losing every fucking thing. This farm is getting fucking sold. I have gone fucking broke. Months ago, I fucking screamed my warning to farmers and ranchers, and they didn't fucking listen. And honestly, I didn't fucking listen either. I didn't listen enough. And now I am paying the price. I am paying the consequences, and they are coming after every farmer and rancher next. It's not just me. They showed up a couple months ago. This started, and it only took 2 months for me to fucking lose everything. And nobody seems to care. Nobody wants to help. They say, you brought this on yourself. You opened this fucking door. You did this to yourself, you farmers and ranchers. I didn't fucking know that bringing home one little baby jackrabbit and then feeding it after midnight would make it multiply into thousands of fucking jackrabbits, and they would start eating my fucking cows and make me go broke because I don't have any fucking cows left. Guys, the jackrabbits are done with my farm. I'm selling everything. They will be coming for yours next. Heed my warnings.
The funniest shit ever. So this guy, for years, who always flown those Trump flags, well, now he turned the upside down because Trump is all the farmers. Look at this shit. I hope he them all up, man. This is between coming from Helena and going to Little Rock, and now all of a sudden his Trump 2024 flag is flying upside down. He had to pay a lot of money for that, man. They put that flagpole there, and for years he's always flown the Trump flags, and Trump fucked him in 2016 and to 2020, and now Trump's from 2025 all the way to 2028, and now now it's upside down and half mast. I hope he out his whole farm. I hope he destroys them with his stupid terrorists and like he's all these farmers. Well, good for you, sir. I guess you around and found out, huh?
Farmers have been getting absolutely destroyed by this Trump administration, and this MAGA farmer actually is losing his farm, and he's still supporting Trump. He's still a diehard MAGA supporter, and it's going to blow your mind. But he's not the only one, and there's so many farmers out there who voted for Trump, and now they're getting destroyed by tariffs and mass deportation. Even as the stock market begins to tank, so many countries around the world are deciding to not buy some of our products. It's crazy to think. Look at the stock market here today. This happened 2 days ago, and we're down 1,500 points from the S&P 500. And it's crazy to think that this has happened so fast, and this is only the beginning. Funding has been destroyed. It's been cut out completely, and now farming is starting to become unprofitable. But check this out. This guy breaks down how farming is becoming unprofitable.
There's always been less farmers. It's always been getting smaller, but it's going so rapidly now. So when I was a kid, somebody would retire and they would sell. They would have their auction, and maybe they would rent the farm out, and somebody would rent that farmstead from, or they would sell it and they would move. They'd build a house. They build a new house. They sold the farm. Somebody would come to that farm and they would farm at that farm. Nobody does that now.
Nope.
Around us, there's enough demand for houses. They want the house. That just gets absorbed. So it's not being replaced. And that's going away, the silos. And, and those guys built all that. And it's just disappearing.
Now, with farming becoming unprofitable, nobody truly really wants to become a farmer because you got all these tariffs. If you knew that if you grew a crop and 20% of that at minimum is going to be taxed, and you're going to lose all that money because of some tax that's supposed to make the country more wealthier and supposed to pay off debt, you wouldn't do it. There's even one farmer here that I'm showing you. His whole team has been getting deported, and now he barely has a team that showed up the next day to start working. Check this out.
I want to get rid of illegal immigrants, quit eating. And that's for everybody. That's, nationwide.
I've said it before, but it's worth saying louder this time. Trump's most loyal supporters, America's farmers, are getting stabbed in the back in broad daylight. And the latest insult isn't just a paper cut, it's a gut punch. While U.S. farmers are drowning in mountains of unsold soybeans, Trump is opening the floodgates for Argentina to dump cheap exports into the very markets American growers just lost. Call it poetic justice, call it FAFO, but the betrayal couldn't be clearer.
Argentina and Brazil, down in South America, they're our biggest competitor in soybeans and corn. Sometimes they raise 2 or 3 crops of corn. They always raise a big soybean crop. But Argentina is a huge competitor for the United States. We just sent them $20 billion. All the while, they're sending tax-free China 84 million bushels of soybeans. That's 30 cargo ships worth in 2 days' time.
We are being forced to bail out another country's farmers at the expense of our own.
That don't make much sense. That's kind of like wiping before you poop. Why would you help out your biggest competition and hurt yourself with your biggest customer?
I have been an Arkansas soybean farmer my entire life until this year, when a deepening farm crisis forced my family to close a 150-year-old operation, and we weren't alone. And now this is coming for even more of us.
It's going to be tough to get some of that business back that we're losing. Retaliatory tariffs has caused us to be less competitive in the global marketplace.
I thought you guys didn't want the United States to give money to Ukraine because that's not our war. You guys were okay with the U.S. giving money to Israel so that they can commit it. But what's going on now? Do we have to bail out Argentina, a country that has absolutely nothing to do with us? Is Donald Trump putting America first when he's going to give up to $20 billion to Argentina? Donald Trump is defunding programs that Americans need, but there is money to send to Argentina? Did I get that right? Is that America first? I'm a little confused.
Soybeans may not sound glamorous, but they're the beating heart of U.S. agriculture. Nearly $25 billion in exports last year, with China alone buying over half, about $12.6 billion. That cash flow is what keeps the heartland alive, from Illinois silos to Iowa fields to Nebraska's small towns. And then came Trump's trade war tantrums. Overnight, America's largest customer, China, didn't just cut back, didn't just slow down. They slammed the door shut.
Well, folks, there's a storm brewing in soybeans. China just bought a big batch from Argentina, not from the USA. And let me tell you, tariffs we slapped on years ago and during this new administration are the reason why. Here's what happened, according to Reuters. Argentina suspended export taxes, making their soybeans cheaper on the international market. And China swooped in and booked at least 10 cargoes, each around 65,000 tons. Meanwhile, not a single cargo from the brand new American harvest. We got cut out of the deal completely. Now, this isn't just about Argentina dropping taxes. This story starts years ago and continues through this new Trump administration with the U.S.-China trade war. When America slapped tariffs on Chinese goods, Beijing hit back with retaliatory tariffs on U.S. soybeans. This made our beans more expensive for Chinese buyers. Now, here's the thing. Once China got burned, they learned not to rely so heavily on American soy. They started building long-term supply from South America, Brazil first, and now Argentina. So every time tariffs went up, U.S. farmers paid the price. not the folks in Washington, D.C. We lost trust and we lost market share. So now, with Argentina's beans cheaper, China doesn't even look at us. That means less demand for American soybeans. Less demand means lower prices. For farmers already fighting high fuel and fertilizer costs, this isn't just a headache, it's the difference between profit and loss. And this isn't a one-off. If China keeps buying from Argentina, it cements a pattern. America gets sidelined while South America gets stronger. And markets don't forgive lost trust. Once a buyer moves on, they don't always come back. That's the real danger of these tariffs wars. You win the headline fight, but you lose the customer forever. Tariffs sound tough in D.C., but out here where we raise these crops, they land like a hammer. Farmers didn't pick the trade fight with China, but they've been paying for it every harvest. We produce the best beans in the world, but when tariffs make our crop more expensive, China shops elsewhere. And now, Argentina, with this tax break, slips right in. So what's the fix? We need smarter trade deals, not headline tariff wars. We need long-term partnerships with buyers, not quick political stunts. And we need to keep American farmers competitive by making sure we're not priced out with our own policies. Folks, these tariffs were sold as tough talk, but in the end, they opened the door for Argentina and Brazil to take our markets. And that's bad news for every American. If you care about keeping American farms alive, if you care about protecting the U.S. food supply and keeping food inexpensive for Americans, share this video with your neighbors and tell them these trade wars are costing us. And it's not just the farmers in rural America that are paying the price. Pretty soon, it's going to be all of us.
Meanwhile, American farmers stare at silos bursting with unsold beans and prices that have collapsed to 5-year lows. If Trump were trying to bankrupt Illinois farmers on purpose, what would he be doing differently? And here's where the FAFO energy really kicks in. These are the same farmers who cheered when Trump promised to deport immigrant workers and slap tariffs on foreign goods. Now, their fields are empty of labor, their markets are gone, and their bills are piling up. It's like watching someone set their own barn on fire because the arsonist told them it would keep them warm. Spoiler, it didn't. The fallout isn't abstract. American Soybean Association President Caleb Ragland called the situation overwhelming. Harvest is underway, prices are falling, and instead of seeing headlines about trade deals, farmers are reading about Trump pumping billions into Argentina while their own product rots.
Hey, Maga, you remember all that winning you were supposed to do under Donald Trump? And now with all the tariffs and his crappy economic policies, you guys are losing your health care, losing your Social Security, losing your benefits, losing your jobs. Well, now you're losing your farms. And the people in Arkansas can tell you, they can't even break even, and most of them are going out of business. They're not being farmers anymore. But instead of a bailout, Trump is like, oh, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Because he and J.D. Vance actually have stock in companies that are buying up that lost farmland when farmers go broke. But you know how you guys always love to claim that Trump loves the farmers and he loves you guys so much, even though in public at rallies he has literally stated to your face that he doesn't care about you? Well, let me tell you something. The biggest crop that we export is soybeans. And now that China's not really buying our soybeans anymore because Trump jacked up tariffs on them, China's now buying them from Argentina, who has since dropped their tariffs on them. So now farmers across the country are being left holding the bag of soybeans that are practically worthless. This is going to have another massive effect on our GDP, by the way. And as all these farmers continue to go bankrupt because of these tariffs that you guys think are going to make you all millionaires, China just found a way to go around us and give us the middle finger. And apparently MAGA stands for Make Argentina Great Again. Meanwhile, our economy's going down the toilet. And you guys have a massive problem with conservatives attacking and shooting your own conservatives. Let me know when you guys are done with the charade and the whole cult because this is really fucking embarrassing.
Donald Trump was quoted saying it is an honor for him to help make Argentina great again. Let's talk about a few things that $20 billion could do for United States citizens. It could cover health care for 3.3 million American families. It could erase medical debt for over 20 million Americans. It could fund mental health and addiction clinics all across the United States for over a decade. It could build over 100,000 affordable housing units. It could provide emergency shelter for over a year for every single homeless American. could fund community college for over 2.5 million students. It could cancel all federal loan student debt. It could increase the salary of every single teacher in the United States of America by $5,000 a year. It could provide $1,000 extra in grocery benefits for every single low-income family in the United States of America. It could fund health care and housing for over 1 million veterans. Or it could provide free daycare for 1.5 million families. So much for America First.
Even Republican Senator Chuck Grassley couldn't spin it, blasting the move with a blunt question. Why would USA help bail out Argentina while they take American soybean producers' biggest market? When Chuck Grassley, who once defended tweeting from a flip phone, is dragging Trump's trade policy, you know something's broken. And the cruelty here isn't just economic, it's cultural. For decades, soybean farmers were told they were America's backbone, the salt of the earth, the true patriots. Trump sold them that myth, then ripped it up the second it suited him.
Trump's illegal tariffs have single-handedly destroyed the U.S. soybean market. As of yesterday, the price of soybeans is about $9.34 here in Iowa. The cost of production is anywhere from $11 to $11.50. So per bushel of soybeans, it's about a $2 loss. And when you add the fact that it's about 50 bushels in an acre of soybeans here, you can do the math to see how bad things are.
He doesn't see farmers. He sees numbers on a balance sheet, pawns in a tariff war he can't win, and voters too loyal to notice he's selling them out in real time. The irony? Argentina and Brazil harvest their soybeans months before American farmers do. So by the time U.S. crops are ready, the Chinese market is already stocked. American farmers aren't just losing a season, they're losing a permanent customer base. Once you're replaced in a global supply chain, it's a game over. And yet, the betrayal goes deeper.
Historically, 60% of Iowa soybeans have gone to China. With Trump's trade wars from his first administration, the U.S. has become an unreliable supplier. So instead of these soybeans going to China, it's soybeans from South America, like places like Brazil and Argentina. That leads to more grains going to be left in the bin, which means to oversupply, which means to lower prices. So here's what we need to do. We need to demand trade, not aid. Farmers don't want a bailout, they want markets. The second thing we need to do is push for competition, both on the market side and especially on the input side with seed and fertilizer costs.
Here's the bitter truth. Soybeans made up nearly 20% of America's cash crop receipts last year. Without exports to China, that number craters. Futures markets are tanking, farmers are drowning in debt, and the so-called bailouts to U.S. farmers are nothing but band-aids on a gaping wound. Meanwhile, Argentina and Brazil are locking down long-term contracts with China that will keep American soybeans out of the game for years. So, let's call it what it is. Betrayal. Trump promised farmers prosperity. What he delivered was bankruptcy, broken supply chains, and foreign competition financed by American dollars. The Heartland thought they were voting for a champion. What they got was a con man who bankrupted casinos, now bankrupting them.
So I posted this weekend about this incredible bailout that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced, where he's sending $20 billion down to Argentina because the chainsaw-wielding, leather jacket libertarian down there, Javier Milei, drove their economy into the ground by trying to do a Doge-like situation there. Now, Bessent is a former hedge fund guy. The bunch of hedge funders in the United States went long on Argentine debt, like they thought, oh, this is going to work great. We're going to take a chainsaw to Argentina and the economy is going to recover. Instead, the economy nosedived. So now Bessent is bailing out these hedge fund guys. Now, who he also is bailing out is China, because Argentina was able to use the $20 billion we sent to cut prices for soybeans that they're selling to China. And China is trying not to buy them from us because Trump started a trade war with China. Now, so that's the backstory I told over the weekend. Today, you have an incredible photo taken by a photographer at the Treasury Department of the White House, snapping Scott Bessent's phone. On Scott Bessent's phone is a text message from Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins to Bessent and one other person. It looks like JG are the initials. I can't quite tell who the second person is. If anybody has any guesses, you can put them in the comments. But if it's difficult to read, here's what the text message to her says. She says, I'm getting more intel but this is highly unfortunate. We bailed out Argentina yesterday, Besant, and in return, the Argentines removed their export tariffs on grains, reducing their price, and sold a bunch of soybeans to China at a time when we would normally be selling to China. Soy prices dropping further because of it. This gives China more leverage on us. So there's Trump's agriculture secretary basically sounding like me.
And here's the part that should keep every farmer awake at night. This isn't just a temporary market hiccup. This is structural. Once China finds a cheaper, steadier partner like Argentina or Brazil, they don't just flip back when it's convenient for us. Trade relationships are like marriages. When the trust is broken, the partner who left doesn't usually come crawling back. They move on. And in this case, they're moving on with billions of dollars worth of contracts that should have gone to American farmers but are now securing long-term deals with our competitors. Trump didn't just fumble the bag. He gift-wrapped it and handed it to Buenos Aires and Sao Paulo. But it's not just about soybeans. It's about what soybeans represent. Agriculture is the one thing America has always done better than almost anyone else. The vast land, the technology, the know-how. This was our ace card. When manufacturing jobs left, when coal mines closed, we could always point to the heartland and say, at least we feed the world. Now, even that claim is crumbling. Under Trump, the U.S. isn't the breadbasket of the world anymore. It's the guy at the poker table watching his chips slide over to the competition while pretending he's still winning.
North Dakota farmers are in a bit of a crisis right now, and it seems like people outside of the state are paying attention, so I think it's time that we talk about it. North Dakota soybeans naturally go to the elevator at harvest. Some are stored, but not many. However, this year, we have no sales to China. Zero. Zilch. Goose egg. And we rely a lot on P&W exports. Because we don't really have an export program, we don't have a good basis. Our typical basis around harvest is like 75 under. Right now, we are between $1.15 and $1.50 under. And some places are just contract only, which means they won't take any soybeans that aren't contracted, and some of them won't take any new contracts either. That means that when we're harvesting soybeans, we're going to put them in a bin. Bins are typically used for corn. When we get into corn harvest, we don't got anywhere to go with it. We have to go to the elevator with it. It's going to put more pressure on the corn basis. It's going to put more pressure on the ethanol basis. And we're just going to have ground piles, bags. It's not fun. If you don't have a logistics plan, you're kind of SOL. The problem's real. And I can tell you right now, it's not going to be solved with a government payment.
American soybean farmers, let's have a chat. One farm family to another. Are you aware that Trump is planning to send $20 billion to Argentina to bail them out? All because his buddy is running for re-election. He wants to make sure he gets re-elected. He's bailing them out. Plus, Argentina just made a humongous deal with China and took your biggest soybean market. So now China, they don't need any American soybeans. They get everything they need from Argentina. Plus, Argentina is getting your tax dollars to bail them out. Trump doesn't plan to give you any bailout. He said maybe when the tariffs start paying off, that he'd give you a little something, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that one because we've all figured out by now, right, that that's a tax on the consumer. And that's what's killing your farm.
And if you think this is just about dollars and cents, look at the ripple effect. Small-town banks depend on farm loans being repaid. Equipment dealers depend on farmers upgrading their tractors and combines. Rural schools depend on property taxes tied to land values. When soybean prices tank, it's not just the farmer hurting, it's the entire ecosystem around them. Trump isn't just bankrupting individuals, he's hollowing out communities. The very same real America he claimed he was fighting for is being gutted in slow motion. Now, here's where it gets even uglier. While Trump's tariffs choke American farmers, his administration's bailout of Argentina wasn't just random generosity. It's geopolitics. And it's politics at home. Argentina gets cash, cuts export taxes, and suddenly looks like a reliable supplier for China. Meanwhile, Trump gets to brag about fighting socialism in South America and scoring a foreign policy win while his own farmers lose everything. It's the art of the deal, Trump style. Sell out your base, then blame someone else when the checks bounce. And the cruelty goes one step further. Remember how Trump loved to frame himself as the savior of forgotten Americans? Those forgotten Americans are now literally being erased from the market while their supposed champion is financing their rivals. It's one thing to get betrayed by your political enemy. It's another to get gutted by the man you cheered for at every rally, the one you put your hopes and your vote into. That's not just betrayal. That's humiliation. But here's the kicker that few people are talking about. Soybeans aren't just food. They're politics. They're energy. They're international leverage. Soybean oil goes into biodiesel. Soybean meal feeds livestock. And soybean futures are a key barometer for global commodity markets. When America loses control of soybeans, it loses more than farm income. It loses power. It hands over a strategic advantage to countries like Brazil and Argentina, who now get to set the terms of trade with China, the world's biggest buyer. Trump hasn't just betrayed farmers. He's weakened America's hand on the global stage. And don't forget the environmental twist. Part of the reason Argentina was able to flood the market so quickly is because Trump's bailout allowed them to suspend environmental costs, like that 26% export tax. In other words, while American farmers are playing by stricter rules, Argentina gets to cut corners, pollute more, and sell cheaper, with our own government's blessing. Here's where the regret kicks in. You can hear it in farm country if you listen closely. Farmers who once plastered Trump signs on their barns are now whispering doubts at the co-op. They won't say it loud, not yet, because pride is a hell of a drug. But when your harvest rots and your bank account bleeds, even the most loyal Maga diehard starts asking the forbidden question, did we get played? And maybe that's the cruelest layer of all. Because Trump's betrayal isn't just financial, it's emotional. He sold farmers the dream of respect, of finally being seen and valued. And now, they're watching him hand their future to Argentina and Brazil, laughing all the way to the bank. It's the kind of betrayal that cuts deeper than a balance sheet. It cuts into identity, into pride, into what it means to be the backbone of America. So, what do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for Trump's hold on farm country, or will the heartland keep letting him bankrupt them with a smile? Drop your thoughts in the comments and stick with Trend Feed, because trust me, the next story we've got lined up peels back an even darker layer you won't want to miss.
Farmers say this has been a perfect storm. They were already battling higher growing costs and crop disease, and now China, which had previously purchased half of all U.S. exports, has pulled out.
U.S. soybean farmers are starting their harvest, but they face steep losses that could fuel farm bankruptcies and foreclosures nationwide.
This is awful discouraging. You know, we do our very best to grow a good crop to feed the world, and then we can't hardly give it away.
Many growers say they feel betrayed. Last week, the Trump administration gave Argentina a financial lifeline, a $20 billion loan. But Argentina then cut the price of its own soy exports to China, undercutting U.S. farmers.
We don't do something. We're not going to have no more family farms.
In Arkansas this month, hundreds of farmers packed into a church to plead for help from the government.
I'm in the worst shape right now that I've ever been in.
With prices for crops crashing, farmers are doing everything they can to stay viable, even selling off equipment. Joel's Tractors in Strawberry Point, Iowa saw a 30% jump in farm machinery up for auction this year.
Put a finger full of grease in there.
Keeping aging tractors running has Lawrence Christensen and his team working at full throttle.
The demand is stronger than the availability.
New equipment costs have increased by 60% in the last 8 years. John Deere, a U.S. manufacturing icon, says U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum will cost them $600 million this year. Over the past 2 years, the company has had to lay off 2,500 employees.
Majority of my family works here.
Gabriel Gomez was a proud Deere employee, following in the footsteps of his dad and uncles. Friday was his last day.
It's like a kick to the gut, right? When you're getting laid off after you've given 20 plus years to the company.
When you think about these tariffs and the ripple effects that they've had, do you think it's worth it?
You know, you hope that possibly in the long term, they would be helpful. Currently here in the short term, it's really killing us. We were sold that we were going to do everything we could for the American workers, and we're seeing quite the opposite at this time.
President Trump says he will make it up to farmers, promising them some of the tariff revenue. But here in this area where John Deere is headquartered, the economic losses are hitting the entire community.
Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking, guys, today's video. By the way, I don't have enough to say. I don't have a lot to say because it's so sad. It's so sad, but still I don't understand how good it is for American farmers to take the money that was supposed to lift them up, and you take it to your rival, to your competitor. Because if you see Argentina is making is doing well in terms of soybean farming, that the ones who have a big market right now, because they are trading with the China. But China said no to American soybeans, so Mr. Man is taking the money to keep on uplifting them while his people are crying. I don't know, maybe I'm not good in politics, but if you're watching and you understand this issue, you can at least convince me, you can explain to me, because I can't see any goodness of it for American farmers. I don't know. Anyway, I hope they've learned because people have been warning them. You guys are voting for somebody you don't know. You don't really know, because anyway, is this one of the ways to make America great again? Because now, even those farmers, they are leaving America. They are leaving their farms, crying like babies. Anyway, thank you for watching, and please, if you are watching and you haven't subscribed, please kindly consider subscribing, and share this video, leave a comment below, and yeah, credit to the owners of the clips used in this video. You guys are amazing, and let's meet in another episode. Peace out.